Have you ever felt like your energy just isn't what it used to be, even though you're eating better, getting to bed early, and doing everything they say is good for you? Maybe you're trying to stay active, keep up with your vitamins, even go for walks every morning. But somehow, you still feel tired, tense, maybe even bloated after meals or wired before bed. And the worst part? You can't quite put your finger on why. You're not alone. I've heard from so many folks in their 60s, 70s, and beyond who've said, "I'm doing all the right things, but I still don't feel right in my own body." And it's frustrating, because after decades of hard work, raising kids, building a life, giving so much of yourself, you deserve to feel calm, comfortable, and in control of your health. But sometimes, without realizing it, we carry little habits from our busy lives into retirement. Habits that quietly keep our bodies stuck in stress mode, even when life seems slower on the outside. Today, we're going to talk about those habits. The small, everyday things we do that might seem harmless or even helpful, but can actually disrupt our nervous system and mess with our digestion, especially as we age. The good news? These habits can be changed. Gently, gradually, and without turning your life upside down. So let's start with one that many of us are guilty of, especially if we spent decades juggling responsibilities, always being in a rush. Even in retirement, that habit of doing everything quickly can hang on. We rush through brushing our teeth. We power through our chores. We eat fast, clean fast, even rest fast. It's like we're trying to get through the day instead of be in it. And sometimes, it doesn't even feel like we're in a hurry. It just feels like this is how we've always moved. But the body knows. When we rush, we breathe shallower. We clench our jaws. We stiffen our shoulders. These are all signals to our nervous system that something might be wrong, and it responds by staying alert, tense, and ready for danger. That's what's called sympathetic dominance, the part of your nervous system that keeps you in survival mode. And when that mode is always on, it affects digestion too. Your gut doesn't get the message that it's safe to relax and break down food. Enzymes don't flow properly. Bloating, heartburn, and irregularity follow. The fix doesn't require yoga retreats or meditation classes. It starts with awareness. Next time you brush your teeth, try doing it slower. Feel your feet on the floor. Try not to grip the toothbrush like you're cleaning the house. Just move gently. When you're folding laundry, sit down if you want. Let yourself do one thing at a time. It's okay if it takes a little longer. This isn't about being lazy. It's about letting your body know that it's safe to relax now. Now let's talk about rest. Not just sleep, but rest during the day. After retirement, you'd think we'd be pros at it. But many of us were raised with the idea that being still equals being unproductive. So even when we try to rest, we're often still doing something. We turn on the TV, scroll the news, do crossword puzzles, check emails, prep dinner. And don't get me wrong, all of those things have their place. But they're not the kind of rest your nervous system truly needs. Real rest is quiet. It's still. It's the kind of moment where you sit by the window, sip some tea, and just exist. You don't have to accomplish anything. You don't have to use the time wisely. You just breathe. You notice the way the trees move. You hear your breath, your heartbeat, maybe even some thoughts that have been waiting in the background. These are the moments when your body can finally shift out of survival mode. It's when the rest and digest system, the parasympathetic nervous system, can take the lead. That's when your gut begins to heal. Your heart rate lowers. Your blood pressure balances. And it's also when you begin to feel like yourself again. The calm, clear-headed version of you that isn't always on edge. Even 10 minutes a day of this kind of rest can be life-changing. You don't need silence. You don't need incense or music. Just give yourself permission to pause fully. That, in itself, is a gift your body has been craving. Speaking of cravings, let me ask you something. What's the first thing you do in the morning? For many people, especially now with smartphones everywhere, it's checking the phone. We grab it before we've even stretched our legs. Email, weather, texts, the news. We absorb the whole world before we've even had breakfast. And at night, same thing. One last scroll, one last update, one more look, just to make sure we didn't miss anything. The problem is, starting and ending the day with stimulation keeps our nervous system on high alert. The bright screen, the flood of information, even just the act of reading news or checking notifications triggers stress chemicals in the brain. Cortisol, adrenaline, the very hormones that are supposed to help us survive danger. And when these hormones are elevated first thing in the morning and right before bed, it's no wonder we feel foggy, anxious, or too wired to sleep. What's a better option? Try this. When you wake up, don't reach for your phone right away. Let your feet hit the floor first. Stretch your arms, drink a glass of water. Maybe even sit quietly for a minute before jumping into the world. Give your nervous system a gentle wake-up call instead of a blast of stress. And at night, try replacing that last scroll with something softer. A short walk outside, a chapter from a book, a few deep breaths. Your body and mind will thank you for the slower landing. It's a small change, but over time it makes a big difference, especially for digestion and sleep quality. Now let's talk about something most of us were taught to value: being efficient, doing things quickly, getting it done, and that includes eating. How many of us eat standing up or in front of the TV, or while reading the paper or checking the phone? Even if we're eating all the right foods, healthy soups, vegetables, lean protein, if we're eating while distracted or in a rush, our body isn't truly digesting. The gut needs calm and presence to work its best. When we chew quickly or swallow without really tasting, we skip the very first step of digestion. Our stomach doesn't prepare properly, our enzymes don't activate the way they should, and before we know it, bloating, gas, or sluggishness creeps in. You don't have to eat in silence or chew each bite 30 times. Just start by noticing your food. Look at it. Smell it. Take a few moments before your first bite. Maybe even put your fork down between bites. These small pauses tell your nervous system, we're safe, we can slow down now. And your gut listens. That's when digestion starts to improve, not just what you eat, but how you eat. Sometimes people say, but I'm just used to multitasking. That's how I've always been. And I get that. For decades, many of us had to move quickly to keep up with life. But now, your body deserves the opposite. It deserves slowness, attention, and ease. We'll continue exploring these everyday habits in just a moment. But for now, just take a breath. A real one. In through the nose, slow and deep, and out through the mouth. That right there, that's the beginning of coming back home to your body. You're not doing anything wrong. You're just ready for something gentler now. Now that we've slowed down a bit, let's keep going. We've already touched on how rushing, skipping rest, and distracted eating can quietly keep our bodies in stress mode. But there's one more habit, a common one, that often sneaks into our mornings and causes more trouble than we realize: drinking coffee on an empty stomach. Now don't worry, I'm not about to tell you to give up your morning coffee. I enjoy mine too. That warm, comforting smell is a ritual in itself. But what many people don't know is that drinking coffee before putting any food in your belly can put unnecessary stress on your digestive system and your nerves. You see, coffee naturally stimulates acid production in the stomach. That's part of what gives it that strong effect. But when your stomach is empty, nothing in there to buffer that acid, it can irritate the stomach lining and throw off the balance of your gut. That's when you might start noticing things like heartburn, bloating, or even a jittery feeling that sticks around longer than it should. And it's not just your gut. That morning caffeine kick also triggers a spike in cortisol, your body's main stress hormone. This isn't a big deal once in a while. But if it's happening every day, first thing in the morning, before your body has had any real nourishment, it sends a signal that you need to be on alert, again. And your nervous system responds by staying slightly tense all day, even if you're not aware of it. So, what's the better way? You don't need to quit coffee altogether. Just shift the timing a bit. Try having a small breakfast first, even something as simple as a slice of toast with peanut butter or a small bowl of warm oatmeal. A little something to tell your stomach, we're ready for this. Then enjoy your coffee slowly, maybe even sitting near a window or in your favorite chair. That small change can help calm your system, support your digestion, and make the whole ritual even more enjoyable. Now let's talk about something that affects a lot of us as we age: tuning in to the body's signals. As we get older, we become more familiar with the little aches, twinges, and off days. But here's the thing. Sometimes, instead of listening to those signals, we've trained ourselves to ignore them. We clench our jaw without noticing. We tighten our shoulders. We push through headaches or fatigue and tell ourselves it's just part of getting older. But is it? What if those signals were actually your body's way of whispering, "I need a break," or "Something's off. Can you check in with me?" When we ignore those small messages, they build up. That little stiffness becomes chronic tension. That moment of fatigue turns into days of fogginess. That unsettled stomach becomes a regular problem. And underneath it all, your nervous system is trying to get your attention. Next time you feel a tightness in your chest, or a lump in your throat, or a strange tension in your belly, pause. You don't have to fix it. You don't have to panic. Just notice it. Maybe ask, what could this be about? Sometimes it's physical. Other times it's emotional. A worry you've been carrying, a conversation that didn't sit right, a decision you've been putting off. The more we practice noticing, the more we can respond with care instead of just pushing through. I like to do a little check-in once or twice a day, nothing formal. Just a quiet moment to close my eyes and scan from head to toe. Where am I holding tension? Where do I feel calm? Is my jaw relaxed? Are my shoulders down? Is my stomach settled? These little pauses don't take much time, but they give the body a chance to reset. They teach us to trust what we feel instead of ignore it. And speaking of what we feel, let's talk about the mind. How often do you find yourself thinking back to something you said years ago, or a conversation you wish had gone differently? Maybe you said too much, or too little, or maybe someone else hurt you, and the words still echo now and then. That's called rumination. It's when the mind replays old events on a loop, over and over again. And let me tell you, this is more common than you'd think, especially as we get older and have more life behind us to reflect on. But here's the catch. The brain doesn't always know the difference between something happening now and something we're just thinking about. So when you replay that hard conversation from 15 years ago, your body might react as if it's happening again. Your heart rate goes up. Your muscles tense. Your gut tightens. That's not just emotional stress. It's physical too. Digestive issues, sleep problems, even inflammation. The past may be over, but your body doesn't get that message if your mind keeps reliving it. Now, I'm not saying you should just let go of everything. That's easier said than done. But when you catch yourself spiraling into the past, try grounding yourself in the present. One simple way to do this is by using your senses. What can you see right now? What can you hear? What's something nearby that you can touch or hold? Or even better, speak the truth out loud. That was then. This is now. I'm safe here. These words may seem simple, but they remind the nervous system that there's no danger anymore. That whatever happened, it's over, and you're okay. Another habit that often flies under the radar is feeling guilty about rest. Now this one's tricky, because rest seems like such a natural thing, doesn't it? But many of us, especially if we've worked hard our whole lives, find it surprisingly hard to rest without guilt. Maybe you feel like you should be doing something. Maybe you sit down to relax but find yourself mentally going through your to-do list. Or maybe you feel like rest has to be productive, like reading a book, catching up on the news, or planning the week ahead. That's not really rest. That's just quiet doing. True rest is when you're not trying to achieve anything. When you give yourself permission to just be. No goals, no guilt. For some folks, this idea can feel foreign, even uncomfortable at first. You might catch yourself fidgeting, reaching for your phone, or thinking, I should be doing something useful. But let me say this loud and clear. You've earned your rest. You've lived through decades of working, parenting, showing up for others. Now is the time to show up for yourself. Rest isn't laziness. It's healing. It's repair. It's what your nervous system has been waiting for. Start small if you need to. 10 minutes in the afternoon. A short nap without apology. Sitting outside without feeling the need to be productive. The more you do it, the more your body will remember how good it feels to settle down. That brings me to one final habit for today's part of the conversation. And it's one I know a lot of kind-hearted folks struggle with, saying yes too much. Maybe it's your family, your friends, a neighbor who needs help. Maybe it's invitations to things you're just not in the mood for anymore. But you say yes, not because you want to, but because you don't want to disappoint anyone. And while generosity is a beautiful thing, there's a line between kindness and self-sacrifice. When we say yes too often, we end up abandoning ourselves. Our energy, our time, our peace, they get chipped away little by little. And all the while, our nervous system is working overtime, trying to keep up with everyone else's needs while ignoring our own. So here's a gentle challenge. Start practicing the art of a kind no. It doesn't have to be rude. It doesn't have to be dramatic. You can say, I appreciate the invitation, but I'm going to pass this time. Or, I need some quiet this week, but thank you for thinking of me. The more you practice, the more you'll see how powerful and freeing it can be. Remember, every time you say no to something that drains you, you're saying yes to your well-being. And at this stage in life, you've more than earned that right. Let's take a breath together. A real one. Slowly in through the nose and gently out through the mouth. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just a moment to be here. Sometimes that's all our body needs to remember that it's safe. That it can finally relax. You've come this far and you've done something incredibly powerful. You've paid attention. Not just to the aches or the routines, but to the little patterns beneath them. The ones that sneak in without you noticing. The ones that pile up until one day you wake up feeling like your body is fighting you instead of working with you. But here's the truth. It's never too late to shift. Not with force. Not by overhauling your life. But by making small, steady changes. Ones rooted in compassion, not control. So let's take a moment to reflect on where we've been in this conversation. We've talked about rushing through our days, even when life around us has slowed down. We've explored how we rest, or how we think we're resting, when really we're still doing. We've looked at how everyday habits like phone use and fast eating keep our nervous system on edge, even when we think we're relaxed. We've taken a closer look at how we treat mornings, coffee, and our body's subtle signals. We've acknowledged how the mind can get stuck in the past, and how that affects the present. And we've given ourselves permission to rest without guilt, and to say no with grace and love. And now, here you are. Not because you've done anything wrong, but because you're ready to feel better. You're ready for ease, for clarity, for a nervous system that isn't constantly looking over its shoulder, for a gut that doesn't feel like it's fighting every meal. You're ready to feel more at home in your body again. And the beautiful thing is, that starts with awareness. You've already taken that first and biggest step. You've slowed down enough to notice. That alone is a kind of healing most people never reach. So what do we do with all of this? We begin where we are. We look at our mornings and ask if we can make space for stillness before stimulation. We look at our meals and ask if we can taste them rather than race through them. We look at the way we move through our day and ask if we can soften the edges just a bit. We stop asking ourselves to push through every feeling. And we start asking, what do I need right now? It could be a glass of water, a slower breath, a walk in the fresh air, not for steps or goals, but just for the feeling of your feet on the earth. Maybe it's learning to sit on a bench and not reach for your phone. Maybe it's allowing yourself to nap without earning it, or letting a phone call go to voicemail without feeling bad. Maybe it's finally setting a boundary with someone who always seems to take more than they give. That one might feel scary. But remember, Saying no to what drains you is saying yes to everything that sustains you. The truth is, our bodies are always talking to us. Not with alarms or flashing lights, but with tension, fatigue, butterflies, or that heavy feeling in the chest. Those aren't signs that something's wrong with you. They're signs that something needs your attention, that a part of you is asking for rest, gentleness, or simply to be heard. You don't need to go to a retreat or buy expensive supplements to start healing. You don't even need to change your entire routine. What you do need is permission to slow down, to feel, and to treat yourself like someone worth caring for. And if no one has told you this lately, let me say it clearly. You are worth that care. Not because of what you've accomplished, not because of what you give others, but because you're here. You're alive. And your body, no matter what it's been through, still wants to work with you, not against you. You might be wondering, but can these small changes really make a difference? And the answer is yes. Because small things, done with awareness, add up. One deep breath becomes a pattern. One mindful meal becomes better digestion. One act of saying no becomes the space for more joy. Healing isn't a finish line, it's a practice. And like anything worth practicing, it gets easier the more you do it. And you don't have to do it perfectly. You just have to keep showing up. So here's what I invite you to do. Pick one habit we talked about today. Just one. Maybe it's putting your phone down before breakfast. Maybe it's taking a true break mid-morning. Maybe it's sitting quietly by the window without needing to fill the silence. Whatever you choose, do it with kindness. No pressure, no perfection, just intention. And over time, your body will feel the shift. Your nervous system will start to settle. Your gut will begin to relax. And you'll feel something many people chase but few ever truly find: peace. Before we go, I want to remind you of something important. You've made it through more than you probably give yourself credit for. You've handled stress, heartache, long days, and unexpected turns. And now, you have the chance to live the next chapter with more calm, more clarity, and more choice. You don't need to chase wellness. You don't need to keep proving your worth. You've already done enough. You are enough. And if you needed someone to give you permission to rest, consider it given. Now I'd love to hear from you. Which habit stood out the most to you? Was there something you recognized in your own routine that you're ready to shift, even just a little? Let's start a conversation in the comments below, not just advice, but encouragement. You might be surprised how many others feel exactly the way you do. And if you found this video helpful, go ahead and give it a like. It really helps more people find content that supports their health in a gentle, thoughtful way. And don't forget to subscribe to Strong Elderly Life for more videos like this, each one designed to help you live with more energy, peace, and strength, no matter your age. Thanks so much for spending this time with me. I know how valuable your time and attention are, and I don't take it lightly. My hope is that something you heard today helps you feel even just a little bit more at ease in your body. Until next time, take good care of yourself. Be kind to your mind, and give your body the softness it's been waiting for. Here's to living your best life, with more calm, more clarity, and more joy, at any age.